Hello everyone. So today we'll be discussing three concepts: Sanskritization, Westernization and Modernization. These three concepts are given by M.N.Srinavas, right? So we have already discussed ontological perspective as well as some of the contribution of Mr. Srinivas in the previous class. So if you haven't seen those videos, kindly check through it. So let's understand Sanskritization first. So Sanskritization, here I have written orthogenetic change. This means an evolution, right? So orthogenetic basically means an evolution which leads to the change in the society. So this particular term is introduced by M.N. Srinavas that indicates the process where lower social groups imitate the practice of upper social groups. So this indicates what? It indicates cultural mobility. So here I have given a definition of Sanskritization. Just go through it. But before introducing this particular term, Srinivas has used the term Brahmanization in his book Religion and Society Among the Kurks, right? So, so here we have to remember two important things. First, in which book the concept Brahmanization has been introduced and to whose society, right? So the answer would be the name of the book, and it would be Kurks. So, so basically, Brahminization means the lower caste group adopt the practices such as gives up meat eating, alcohol, etc. So these practices are basically of higher caste groups. Even lower caste groups, people try to imitate those rituals of higher caste group, which in a brief known as Sanskritization, right? Or you can say Brahminization. But later on, Srinivas has widened this concept and said that people are not only imitating Brahmins, but they imitate the above group in the hierarchy. So what are those rituals? It can be any rituals, or it can be an ideology or way of life of twice born caste. So now the question comes, what is twice born caste? So yeah, the group caste group which undergoes the process of Upanayan are known as twice born caste. Right. So now we'll discuss the process of Sanskritization in more detailed way. So while discussing this concept, Srinivas has included some of the ideologies such as karma, dharma, papa, punya and moksha. As we know, these are some of the principles which are very much known to the Hindu religion, right? We can also say Sanskritization serves as a reference group. Reference group is not always Brahmins. So Srinivas gave an example of lower caste of Mysore who have adopted the way of life of Lingayat, who are not Brahmins. So he broadened this concept and used the term Sanskritization rather than Brahmanization. Now we will try to analyze this process in a detailed way, that as I have already mentioned. Uh, so second one is a process of upward mobility. Means individuals try to raise their social status over the period of time. It might take 2 or 3 generations or more than that. Here, I would like to refer a community of Assam that is known as Jolio Koiborto, which is also known as Kiot community. These people basically originally belongs to Assam, and they mostly engage in the activity of fishing. Means fishing is their prime, or you can say sole occupation. But later on, they have converted into Assamese community through the process of Sanskritization. Next, it is not only for the economic benefit, or you can say for the economic betterment of this group, uh, but it's also for political power, education, leadership, etc. So people try to move up in the hierarchy. right? Next, I would like to mention that Sanskritization is not for a structural change but for positional change. uh, Individual would move up or down in the structure will not change, right? Means they would go up or down in the hierarchy ladder, but the whole structure cannot be changed. Next one, it is not only confined to Hindu community, even in tribes like Veals of Western India, Gonds of Middle India undergo the process of Sanskritization. The last one is, it said that Sanskritization reduce the gap between ritual and secular ranking. For example, if a lower caste or a class got political power, soon they would imitate the status symbols used by upper caste in the hierarchy. Right? So soon they would adopt the practices and try to claim themselves a good position. Therefore, we can say that it's a process which denotes a basic change in the Varna system. As India is a caste-ridden society, so it would only be suitable to India. So this is about Sanskritization. Hope it is clear. Now we discuss Westernization. Here I have written heterogenetic change, means change in different perspective, or you can say different groups of people are adopting those change. So as we know, Sanskritization means mobility within the framework of caste, whereas Westernization implies mobility outside the framework of caste, right? So he had introduced this particular term to refer the changes in the Indian society. Yes. So so where I am, yeah, sorry, Indian society due to British rule. As we know, British had ruled us for 150 years, and it had created changes in technological level. So you can say technological change refers to the coming of transport and communication. This had ultimately reduced the gap between people, and they became more aware about their social position. Yes. So let's take an example. For example, newspaper. Newspaper is the only source which unites the whole nation, right? So where the people realized their bonds and fought for their independence. Even institutional change means educational pattern, or you can say changing of education pattern. As Western education had broadened the traditional mindset of people. So this ideological change is understood in Gandhiji's autobiography, where he wrote the educated Indians becoming English gentlemen in their dress, habit, choices, etc. So here I have given the concept of Westernization. So he basically introduced this particular term in the book Social Change in Modern India, right? So you can see the changes in the process of Westernization would be in different levels. It may be a technological institution, ideology, or value, right? So these have already been discussed. So now let's move to its features. First one is it contains values such as the value of humanitarianism. So if we compare Sanskritization and Westernization, the most value that Westernization dealt is with humanitarian thinking, or you can say value. This implies it mainly concerned with the welfare of the people. Right. Next one is Westernization had modified traditional institutions such as education. Education is now not more restricted to upper caste only. It tried to widen the education system. Right? It also created different institutions like law, courts, civil service, etc. Third one, it does not influence, retard the process of Sanskritization. Let's take an example. Though English medium is being preferred by most of our education system, and most of the people used to prefer those system of education, right? Next one is Westernization has touched every aspect of life. For example, Brahmins had accepted Western race, educational institution, technologies such as radio, TV, etc. But it did not accept the British development, singing, dancing, etc. You can say it, though it influenced various aspects of Indian life, but it does not emerge into it. Therefore, Srinavas preferred Westernization rather than modernization. Right. Here, I would like to mention about Daniel Thorner, Yogendra Singh, and Milton Singer, who also preferred for modernization. We would study all those in different lecture. Just for now, let us understand the difference between Sanskritization and Westernization. You know, both Sanskritization and Westernization are dealt in analyzing the cultural and structural change in the Indian society, but they are different in their ideological sense. For instance, consumption of meat or taking of alcohol can be a taboo in Sanskritization, but those things are prompted in Westernization. Even widow remarriage, child marriage are seen as tabooed and only reformed by the lower caste, right? But for Westernization, these are the evil practices and need to be removed. And it try to observe equal, you can say, egalitarian society, right? You can also say Sanskritization always prompt a sacred outlook, or you can say the concept of purity and pollution exists everywhere. But for Westernization, secular outlook is prompted, where individuals are treated equally. It means one side you will see in Sanskritization purity and pollution matters a lot, whereas in the other side you would find means equality among all the individual matters. Right. So this is about Westernization and Sanskritization. So now let's talk about something on modernization. Yeah. So as we know, modernization is a process that indicates modern ways of life and value. So this is basically introduced by Daniel Thunder and it defines as this. Kindly go through it. So this concept is mostly criticized by Srinivas and he said it is value loaded term. Right. So you can say this modernization is a process where you can say it's an adoption of modern ways of life. Right. It is nothing but actually a change in the old practices and less developed society acquires those features of developed society. So it is not for a group but for a humanity as a whole. So here are some of the majors of modernity. These are forwarded by Rostow and Ward. So some of the criteria of modernity are, first one is industrialization. It is nothing but coming of industries. The economy would go beyond the level of subsistence economy, right? Industrialization would bring mobility in social as well as geographical and also result in erasing of traditional outlook. Next one is secularization of ideas. Here people would be more secular and will see a rational norms in culture. It would spread education and it ultimately improve the quality of living. High expectancy rate, standard of living would be the new scenario of Indian society. Modernization would transform people from acquiring ascribed status to achieve status. Here, public participation and awareness in people was only source, and people would adopt different ways of modern life. So now let's talk about some of the difference between modernization and westernization. As compared to westernization, modernization is a wider concept. 150 years of British rule had brought westernization, and contact of non-western country with western country brought sorry 150 years of British rule had brought westernization, and contact of non-western country with western country brought modernization. Westernization is basically a transformation of behavioral pattern, where modernization involves transformation of social, political, and economic organization. Second difference is westernization involves middle class affairs such as clothing, eating habits, etc. Westernization, whereas modernization involves structural change such as caste ridden society to class less society. Right? So you can say westernization is inadequate in nature, while modernization is mostly based on positive attitude of people. Now let's talk something on the causes of modernization. Actually, why does modernization happen? The first and the foremost cause of modernization is education. Education plays a very important role in the process of modernization. As people would be more educated, it would bring change in their attitude. They would be open minded and would reduce the different evil practices that going in the society. Next is mass communication. The development of mass communication would spread the modern ideas in a more quicker pace. Right. Third one is nationalism and democracy can be linked to modernization. These modern ideas propagated by mass media create rationalist feeling among the individuals and change the behavior of people as well. Next one is urbanization. It accelerated the pace of modernization. Urbanization means growth of cities, and as people are increasing, they would exchange thoughts and new ideas would be created. Economic and technological development would develop a new society. So this is about urbanization. Fourth one is universal legal system. Actually, traditional society with traditional values slower the rate of social change. But with universal legal system, modernized society can be fast and it function efficiently. Therefore, it can be said that it protects the individuals and ensure freedom to everyone. So with this, I would like to end my lesson with the concept of Sanskritization, Westernization and Modernization. If you have any query regarding any of the point, kindly post a comment. And if you really like our video and appreciate our effort, so just like, share and subscribe our channel. That's all for today. Thank you.